not crying anymore. Oh, because I praise the Lord. I've been laughing all day long because of my Lord. Depression doesn't faze me anymore. Anxiety is gone because of my Lord. It's time.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lost Light and Laughter, an uplifting show about laughter after tragedy. I'm your host, Michelle A. If you're ready for some inspiration and laughter in your life, you've tuned in to the right show.
It's time to show love, everybody. Show love one time. Feel me strong enough to fight my battles. I know he'll never give me more than I can handle. My Lord, my King, the one that I do love.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lost Light and Laughter. Today I have one of my good friends, her daughter's on. I met her when I was teaching at a school in Bryan, and she just had just a beautiful spirit. I've never forgot her. She went away to college, came back, and we were able to reconnect. You guys, I want you to meet Kyrah Weathersby. Kyrah, come on in and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Kyrah Weathersby. I'm 21 years old, former college student from TMUCC. I'm now back home and I have a video podcast called Transform Perspective on YouTube, where I just share my experience and God's message and encourage others. So, yeah.
Yes, and it's good. You guys got to check it out. I'll leave a link to that, and then we'll follow up before we leave. I have her tell you where to find her again. Okay, so Kyrah, as you know, the name of the show is called Lost Light and Laughter. Tell the audience about a significant loss in your life.
Okay, well, after I graduated college, I ended up coming back home because many college students, you don't necessarily always get right into your career. I still am trying to figure that out. So
Right.
I ended up coming back home and everything was good. I ended up working a job with children. And I still do work with children now, still trying to figure things out and flow. But basically about last year in the fall, just everything hit me at once. So I'm kind of like back at home, getting lots of rejections for jobs, can't seem to get in my career, have student debt. I lost a lot of like friendships where people just, didn't really have a social life anymore, just out of nowhere, lost a relationship, and just also just like self-esteem, like everything was kind of just going crazy. It seemed like everything was just went ghost out of nowhere around last fall. And so it was a big loss of my self-identity and who I thought I was. So it was just a big wake-up call that I was not expecting. And so I went through a lot of just like grieving and trying to figure it out. And I dealt with a lot of perfectionism. And I know this may be common where you're trying to make sure you do everything perfect, make sure you do everything right to meet other people's expectations or the world's expectations. And so it's like, I always just dealt with so much anxiety and trying to make it work. And so last fall, it was kind of like, all that hit the fan, and I was like, it was a big loss. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I identified who I was with all of these things, my relationship, my friendships, even family. It was a big change going from being in college for 3 years back at home. Sometimes that feels like a step back.
Right, from independence. Right, yeah, I get
so
that.
I was on my own, and I had to come back, and everything just felt like it was going backwards. And so that definitely was a wake-up call and made me realize that I am not just the external. Like the external things don't determine who I am. And so that was a big shock for me. It led me to finding my true self, my true identity. Because in my head, it was, if you have the perfect career, if you have a lot of money and success, if you can, do better than what your parents did, that's great. But sometimes we push ourselves past our limit,
Right.
And
There's
like
that checklist, right? If you go to school, right? You get good grades, you go to college, you're going to get a good job, then you're going to find a good husband, then you're going to have beautiful kids, y'all going to build this beautiful house. So if you get this checklist, Kyrah, okay, life is going to be perfect. That's what we told you, right? That's what
I was aiming for. I was like, friendships, relationship, career, and so that's kind of what I envisioned for myself. And it kind of seemed like it was going in that direction. And then all of a sudden, boom, God was like, not there quite yet.
Right.
But it all happened for a reason. But in the moment of going through it, I just went through like grieving stages of like loss. I didn't really lose a family member or lose a pet, but it was a loss because that's all those things is what I thought maybe who I am.
Right.
Those things determine if I was worthy, if I was enough, if I was loved. A lot of people pleasing too, like just putting others and expectations and dreams and goals before your own self and spiritual, healing and, just kind of running away from who I am.
Right.
And so it's kind of one of those moments where, I had to really wake up and God is like, well, I'm kind of going to strip it down to where it's just me and you. And it was very unexpected because I had to just sit with myself and look in the mirror, metaphorically and, literally.
Right. The loss of expectation is no joke. Okay. Like you have a belief system and you have an expectation. And when those things don't pan out the way it's supposed to, it's scary. You start thinking, what did I do wrong? Did I miss something? So,
I was just going to say, that's what I did. I went through these phases of, what did they do to me, or the circumstances, or even like blaming God, like not, and you know how you like, why God, like, what did I do? To blaming myself, like, I must be a bad person, backtracking, like, did I do something wrong? There's so much guilt, shame, and blame. And so it was kind of like, I know a lot of people don't want to, put labels and names on, like, like depression and this. I know, especially in, the Black community, from my experience, that's some things like, as a Black woman, you're supposed to be strong and keep going. But you're
as a Black Christian woman, right? As a believer, there's that, again, the expectation of how
that you suck it up and keep going.
Right. How you handle life. This is the expectation. And it don't always go that way. So tell us. Okay, because I heard you mention God, and I'm like, we're listening to the loss. And even though you're 21, anyone can relate to this, okay? Because when we have expectations on how our life should go and it just doesn't, okay, it's hard. So I want you to talk to us about the light. Talk to us about God. Where is he in the midst of all this strip down, in the midst of all this loss of identity, friendship, career path, even the loss of, like you said, independence, where it felt like you're going back. Like, where's God? Because I'm like, hold on, Lord. I know I prayed. Okay. So what happened? Talk to us.
And so I learned that what I consider a loss was actually a gain. And God was in the midst of it all. I learned that everything happens for a reason. And actually, I always use the metaphor of like a caterpillar turned into a butterfly.
Yes.
And that's why I do my video podcast. It's called Transform Perspective, because my whole perspective changed. And it's like a butterfly. You're this little caterpillar, and the world is so big, and you just don't know. And then you go into like this cocoon, this
you go the chrysalis,
and you're like isolated to yourself. And that kind of represented that isolation with myself, just me and God. And he showed me that I am worthy, I am loved, I am capable, and I don't need validation from anything or anyone outside of me to show me that. Yes. So it's kind of like, as I went through this, I had to sit with myself and sit with God and really see how blessed I am, how worthy I am. And transformation happens in the darkest time.
Yes.
So in that cocoon, it's dark, you're isolated, but sometimes we can't see, a lot of things we cannot see with our eyes. God is working in mysterious ways and ways that we cannot physically see, but it's happening. And so in that cocoon stage, I was able to just sit with myself. And even though I couldn't see it, a lot of things were happening internally. I was able to come into this transformation to a beautiful butterfly, be my true authentic self, and really just, in the midst of all of it, just something I did a lot was meditating. And that was something that was helpful. Praying, reading the word, but also meditating. And I know a lot of people may think it has to be traditional or a certain way, and that's not really talked about a lot. But meditating is just sitting and listening with yourself, sitting and listening to what's going on inside. And that's when you can really, truly hear God and hear truth. And so I did a lot of that, a lot of just allowing myself to feel, allowing myself to really let things come up. Because sometimes we like to put a Band-Aid on it and keep it going, keep it cute.
Stuff it
down. And then you explode. And so God was just showing me that, like, I'm here with you. And every moment, every breath, the present moment is where God is with you every step of the way. And so sometimes when you get distracted or you're trying to go get it, you're not really allowing yourself to connect with who you are and who God is. And so my relationship with God changed a lot. You know, God doesn't change, but your relationship with God does. And so that was a big eye opener, you know. So it was helpful because I learned to be able to sit with myself, you know, not have to people please, not have to be so attached to where I'm hurting myself, not have to need to always talk to somebody, you know, because sometimes we just want to share and it's okay. But God is like, I got you. Like, just sit with yourself. I'm here with you. And so I feel like that was the biggest way that God was with me. And so this loss turned out to be like allowing me to grow closer to God. It helped me so much with knowing who God is, knowing who I am. And so it's such a huge blessing. And I'm still going through it, still healing. And the situations are still the same. Like, you know, it's still, you know, and I'm not saying that it's going to stay that way. Things are going to change. You know, I haven't got there yet. The friends will come, everything, you know, will be okay. But in the midst of it, it doesn't feel that way, you know? So yeah, I feel like I'm still going through the healing process and everything, but we are all capable of transforming into beautiful butterflies. You know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right.
And then you also have to learn to accept all of it, accept the dark, accept the light. And, you know, because it's a balance, you know, because you don't want to forget the times that you did struggle, that you were feeling like you were down at rock bottom, you know, because like I said, those are the moments where you really see transformation, where you really see God.
That's right.
And so, yes,
this is
I want to speak of a moment. Oh, sorry. Yes, it is. I was going to speak of a moment where I guess we haven't got to the laughter part. But
tell us. No, come on. Tell us about the laughter. Go on in. Yes. We ready.
I'm like going to dive right into it. So yes, it's a big gain. Not a loss anymore, a gain. Yes. So my whole perspective changed about my life and who I am. And I realized that in such the, you know, smallest moment. So I started doing things I normally wouldn't, like reading books, meditating, being out in nature. And I like to go to the park a lot. So one time, I got my book and that's my time to be out of the house. You know, like when you're home with your family, you do need that space. Yeah. And so I went to the park, I was sitting on the bench and reading my book. And I just stopped for a second and it was just a beautiful sunny day. And I just looked up and I just noticed there was like a kid's birthday party going on. There was this woman and her dog sitting under a tree. I think she was reading too. There was this elderly couple that was walking by and getting their exercise going on. Yeah. And even like some young college students like playing football in the grass. And I don't know, I just looked up and it was like just in that moment, I just felt like everything is going to be okay. Being able to look and see other people feeling joy and just living life, you know? Yes. It really brought me to the present moment. And something that I also saw quite often is yellow butterflies. And in that moment, a yellow butterfly flew close in front of me. And I was like, it was just like a message, like, it's going to be okay. Just be here in this moment. And so I was kind of just like observing my surroundings. And all I could do was smile and laugh. It's, you know, it just reminded me that everything is going to work out. You know, everything's going to work out for your good. Yes. Romans 8:28. So, yes.
That is awesome, because a lot of times we're always in go mode and we're always on to the next thing, thinking the next thing is going to fix us, right? Yes. And we think the next big thing is going to be the thing that makes us happy or, you know, bring that peace or that joy. And to be in the moment and to be present, like, it takes people decades to come to that. Like, you are ahead of the game, all right? You thought you were being pulled back. Friend, you actually are ahead of the game, all right? I wish I knew that at 21, okay? I figured that out around 41, Okay. So
Yeah. It's different.
you're
for
ahead of the
everybody.
game. To be present with God and to be present with like life in itself and not feel like you have to be rushed, you know, and get
Right.
ahead of yourself or get ahead of God. And so I think that is beauty. That in itself brings joy and laughter. So if there's anyone out there that have been struggling with an expectation that had not been met yet, maybe it's time for them to be present and actually see what God is doing to prepare for the very thing that they've been praying for, you know?
Yeah,
So,
exactly that.
yeah.
Like it'll all work out in due timing, but at some point you have to stop worrying and trying to fix the past
Mhm.
or stressing and fearing what's to come and just
Yeah.
be right here, right now. And it seems so simple and it can be, but with the world we live in and, just life in general, is not very common,
Right.
because of this mentality of go get it or try to do it right or fix it. But you have all you need here and now,
Amen.
So,
That's good. I was thinking about it, as you were speaking, I was like, I know what I'm going to name this show. I'm going to name it The Loss of Expectation and the Gain of Self. So that's going to be the title of this episode.
Perfect.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Perfect.
I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. Listen, we're about to close out. Do you have any last minute advice that you want to share with the audience? Someone that might be in your age group, or hey, they may be 41 like I was last year trying to figure this thing out. Okay. You bringing wisdom and knowledge to me. You dropping the gems. Okay. I'm listening.
Some advice would be something I'm learning to say is say thank you to everything that has happened and say yes to everything that will be.
Ooh, I like that. Say one more time. Hold on. Let me catch it. Let me catch that.
Say thank you to everything that has happened and say yes to everything that will be. It's okay to not know. Because sometimes we think because of our age or circumstances, we should be here, there, and comparing ourselves to others. But you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And if you were supposed to be anywhere else, you would have been there by now. Sorry. And so it's like just learning to accept where you are and just be okay with the ups and the downs. It's all a part of the journey. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to put yourself down for things not going the way that you want them to or things you've done. It's all a journey and God got it, So that's my advice. Just accept it and just flow. Flow with it.
Amen. I received that. This is such a good episode. Listen, tell everyone where they can find you on YouTube again, because if you were impressed by the knowledge she was dropping on this show, you got to check out and subscribe and share her YouTube channel. Kyrah, tell them where they can find you.
My YouTube channel is Transformed Perspective, and I am posting videos weekly, and I'm just sharing my experience and sharing the message for anyone and everyone. Like we're all in this together. So if you want to check it out, I have videos weekly. And if you want to share your experience, you can too. But Transform Perspective on YouTube.
All right. That's awesome. Well, that concludes this episode of Lost, Light, and Laughter. Kyrah, I want to thank you once again for coming on and being a guest on this show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Everybody, show love one time. It's time to give praise. Everybody, give praise one time. Yeah, it's time to show love. Everybody, show love one time.